Recently, the Ethiopian government has declared a unilateral ceasefire in the state of Tigray. However, the TPLF has rejected it. What are its implications and what kind of message does this convey to the international community? Well, my guest today is Ambassador Tiruneh Zena, a long-serving career diplomat who has spent his life advocating Ethiopia's stance and explaining its interest in the international arena. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our weekly Addis Dialogue. With it, I'm Shifarao Lakao. Do stay with us. Ambassador, a very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me for this dialogue. I appreciate the opportunity you have given to me to forward my opinion on this important matter.
Now, the Ethiopian government has recently declared a unilateral ceasefire in the state of Tigray to allow for some humanitarian access and also to give respite and also to create a conducive environment for the farming activities. However, the TPLF has played this down on the pretext that some of its conditions are not met. What are your observations in this regard?
First of all, let me say that peace and stability is very much essential for us these days anytime, because we need to undertake or to finalize the reforms we are taking in the area of social, economic and political areas. So this is very much essential for Ethiopia. And in this regard, what the Ethiopian government has taken the unilateral ceasefire is very much appreciated, because Ethiopia needs peace, Ethiopia needs stability, because, you know, peace is more important for the people of Tigray than anything else, because they are, it is what happened during the last eight months hurt people of Tigray, and we need to repeat the Tigrayan economy, and we need to try to sort out the problems that existed in Tigray. Yeah. So I thought and I hope the TPLF will follow the Ethiopian example, but that didn't happen. That is unfortunate. In that regard, I think we need essential friends outside and inside the country, you know, to assist us to come to peace and stability in that place. So I hope the international community will act in that way to assist us to strengthen peace and stability, and to encourage the the measures the Ethiopian government has taken. That means to ceasefire that the Ethiopian government has taken. That is very important, and encourage the other party to follow suit.
Reports are coming that the TPLF is recruiting underage soldiers, child soldiers, as part of its cause, which is, as many say, none other than prolonging its existence by using conflict. What are your observations in this regard?
Children under 15 as soldiers is prohibited by international humanitarian law. Also, it is considered or defined as war crime by ICC, International Criminal Court. And thirdly, we are party, we are signatory to the United Nations Convention, on the right of the child, which prohibits the use of children as soldiers. This is high crime that nobody should ignore or condone. Especially the international community should take measures, serious measures, on any part. I don't mean only on TPLF. It could be any part who are using the children as soldiers. This is unacceptable. This should be stopped. Children, it is true that it is children who are hurt more when there are conflict and war in any country, because they waste their time. They are also subjugated to mental problems. So this has to be avoided, let alone using them as soldiers. But the mere fact that there is war in their community hurts them more than anything. So the international community should take serious measures in this area.
Now, Ambassador, as you know, despite the fact that TPLF is recruiting children as soldiers, and this being widely known by the international communities, some entities, some global entities have remained to become silent rather than denounce it. Why?
I really don't know why they didn't denounce it or why they are silent. But I know that there is double standard among the international community. Always, it is a tradition to condemn those whom they don't like, and to glorify whatever their friends or the party they support has done. That is the standard among the international community, glorifying the actions, whatever it is, by their friends, and demonizing whatever the other party, which they may not like, has taken.
What's your message to Ethiopian diplomats in clearly conveying Ethiopia's stance of declaring the unilateral ceasefire in the state of Tigray, so that the international community may have clear understanding?
Well, this is a noble action. This is what the international community have been waiting. They should, the Ethiopian diplomats should sensitize the international community and tell them why the Ethiopian government has taken this action and what is the end goal is, and the responsibility of the international community to encourage every party involved in this conflict to come and act the way Ethiopia, I mean that means proclaim ceasefire and work for peace and stability in that area.
Let's also talk about the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. The United Nations Security Council recently declared that the issues of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam should be solved under the auspices of the African Union. And many say that this bears witness to the fact that Ethiopia has fair stance when it comes to utilization of the Nile waters. What's your take on that?
Yeah, but first of all, let me say a few things about the Security Council deciding that African problem should be sorted out by the Africans. This is a question of principle, which many Africans support. There are Africans who consider the principle or the motto that the African problem should be sorted out or solved by Africans is a serious principle. It is a motto which is many serious African politicians support and give their helping hand. But there are Africans in Africa itself who want to undermine the role of AU in solving the African problem because they don't believe in equality of the African people. They don't think that Africans can solve their problem. They want to undermine. This is the basic problem by some politicians. So they run here and there and want to bring parties which are very far from this problem or have little understanding of the problem, disregarding the AU and other African institutions, which is very near to the problem, whose members are probably some significant number of Africans. This problem should have not been taken to the Security Council because the Security Council and the African Union have agreed in principle that the African AU should be in forefront in trying to solve the African problem, and the UN should assist the AU in the order, but should not compete or should not try to disregard AU from trying to solve the African problem as a first step. But there are Africans, there are politicians, African politicians, there are leaders who want to undermine AU, who have disregard for the African, for whatever the AU and other African organization tries to overcome, you know. So the fact that Ethiopia stood, there are not only Ethiopia, there are many other states who think that the solution or the motto or the principle that African problem must be solved by African is an assertion for the African freedom, an assertion that they owe whatever is African in the first place. You know. So this is Ethiopia is one of those parties who want to encourage, who want to strengthen African or African to solve Africans to solve the problem, to take measures on their own hand. So we need to congratulate Ethiopia in this regard, and Ethiopia should continue doing this. Not only because it concerns Ethiopia, but whenever there is a problem which concerns Africa, Ethiopia should push that Africa AU should come first in trying to solve the problem.
We're also hearing that Egypt is now seeking the assistance of the European Union, obviously disappointed at what happened at the United Nations Security Council. What do you make of that?
I'm of the opinion that it will not be a suitable undertaking for EU to involve where AU already is undertaking. This will be an insult to the African Union, because this is Africa. The Africans are saying the African problem should be solved by the Africans themselves, and the August Assembly, that is the Security Council, had reasserted that, let me say, by sending back the file to the AU and then taking to the other regional organization the same issue, which is the international organization has avoided, because it is the African problem. It is AU which should solve this problem, and it would be an insult to AU by EU if they involve themselves in this issue.
Why is it so difficult for Egypt to accept the African Union?
Because this is a good question. Because, you know, they have no respect for the for the Africans and their organization. You know, they say we are Africans, but I doubt if they mean it. You know, if they really mean it, they should have tried to solve this problem, especially which involves how many other African countries. It is not only Ethiopia. There are many African countries which as party to the Nile issue. You know, it's Ethiopia, of course, with the dam. Ethiopia is on the forefront, but there are other African countries who consider the Nile issue their own affair, their own interest. Okay, so it is first of all, Egyptians have no respect for the Africans. Egyptians have no trust in the African organization. Egyptians consider that Africa and their organization is not capable to solve this kind of problem. This is very bad. If they are Africans, they could have not considered in such a way their organization, the country, the continent which they think they belong to. You know. So it is, as a problem is they have no trust in African organization, and they have no respect for the African. They have other organizations which they respect,
like the Arab League.
Many others. Yes.
Ambassador, finally, before you go, as a long-serving career diplomat, what is your take on Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's recent comments on possible closure of some embassies abroad?
Well, let me say a few words about diplomacy in general before I delve into this specific matter. Nowadays, you know, because of the development in communication, you can communicate at any level with any person in any country, and you can get information and from anywhere about anything. So this makes diplomacy not relevant. I don't want to say relevant, but not as important as it was some 20, 30 years ago. Because the head of state can call his counterparts in any part of the world and can talk to you or negotiate with you. The foreign minister can do the same. The prime minister can do the same. You know, communication has made the world a small village. So we have to take that into consideration when we are assigning ambassadors, you know, or diplomats, or when we are opening embassies in any part of the world. You know, having said that, I don't mean that we don't need diplomats or ambassadors. That will be very dangerous, because there are places like New York, Geneva, Addis Ababa, and others where negotiation takes place every day by many interested parties. Ethiopia must be there. Ethiopia must be negotiated. And you need also ambassadors and diplomats in strategic areas where your interests are very much high. Okay. Also, there are, you need to, train every diplomat in neighboring countries, because you cannot get through public communication or other means certain information. So in that respect, you have to assess where you should assign an ambassador or where you should open an embassy. Study has to be made. You simply can't say, okay, we don't have an embassy here, let us open. What interest do we have there? What are things which we cannot get through other means, public? Or our interest in that country is, how big is our interest in that country? We should assess all those things and open, because these days foreign currency is Ethiopia's main constraint for everything. So you have to economize. But we should not close all embassies, or we should not disregard its usefulness. But we should make a study, and we should come with some rational development.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for your perspective so far.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, dear viewers, that was Tiruneh Zena talking to us in this edition of Addis Dialogue. Many thanks for your company so far. Until I see you with another program, it's goodbye from me, Shifarao Lago. Bye-bye.